Alrighty. Let's see what we have. I'm not sure. It says it's live and it says it's recording. I'm going to assume it is. We have 8 minutes. So in this 8 minutes, I'm just going to adjust some things. Why is it gets brighter when I do that? Why is that? That is so odd. Is this a reflection? What's going on? I cannot find my big light. I've changed my location to kind of help things a little bit. Let's see. Does that help any? Not really. Oh, well, you're going to have a shadow over here, so I don't know. Let me see if I open it up a little bit. Okay, let's see. I have 6 minutes and counting. So try something here. See if it helps. And things are gonna fall. That's just the way it is. This happens. Nope. So for some reason, when I put my hand here, the lighting gets better. Oh well. Alright, so this is going to be for collecting things. And I just want to mention that this is one of the cases, and I'm planning on putting the cards in here because I have a ton of these. The big wide ones. I think that'll be a nice way to store some cards. So, since we are 5 minutes before we get to go, I'm going to see if I can there we go. If you are online, just give me a little thumbs up or make a comment below so that I could see if anybody's here. I have everything, I think, nearby. It's wires everywhere. It's tremendous. So I thought I'd come in here because it seems a little bit more organized to a degree, not entirely. And I wanted a place to spread out all the stuff I have ready. And this isn't going to be more of a instructional video. It'll be more of a just talking about the craft fairs and what we're doing now as opposed to what we did 2 years ago. And my my last craft fair was 2 years ago in December. Quite a lot happened at that point. even before we went into, we were told that there was a virus going around. Quite a lot happened. Let me see if I can. Now, things may fall. May have to readjust. Let's just see if I can. Does that help any? I don't think so. Let's move that up. I think the focal point, which will be the center here, I think that looks good, as opposed to seeing my face, which really doesn't matter. But you never know what people are interested in or complain about. And that's one of the things I think that's interesting. People complaining all the time. Me too. Me too. Can you believe? I totally understand why people are upset about things, and they're just at their wits' end. There's no more patience for anybody. So I'm a little hesitant about my first craft fair, and that'll be next weekend, and I will report back on how that goes. There will be no live next weekend because I will be at a craft show if I can, if I have the ability to, because I never know if there's going to be service. I will post, I will go live and let you see what's going on. I think I have 2 minutes. I wonder if I have time to go get my microphone. Let me see if I can do that. So I will be right back. Let's let you see that. I will be back. Hey everybody, so it's 1 minute in. I can't find my microphone. I really wanted to have that for you. Let's get scheduled here. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Let's put, oops, nope, that's not what I want. This and then this. And let's go over here. Okay, so what we have is we're just gonna, I'm going to go through some things that I have prepped for my craft fair, which is next week. One of the things that's interesting is you may have been involved in a craft fair or of some sort of event. I have not for 2 years. So my last craft fair was Christmas time, 2019, 2019. And you know, I don't proclaim to have all the answers, but I do want to go through a few things. And I have up here some of the cards that I made that were inspired by DawnStampingThoughts.com. So that, and I'm going to show you these in a minute. But first I'm going to talk about what is it that you do for a craft fair, in case you are here thinking that I was going to discuss all of that. There are many videos up where people, they even, you know, you can subscribe to people that will help you go from A to B and all the rest. I am just going to go through the short process of what I think is best practice with craft fairs, and then to what I am going to bring, because that's something I'm always looking for when I go on videos looking about craft fairs. So first off, you have to scope out the craft fair that you want to go to. Number one, you need to look and see, where is it, when is it, who's there, what is the traffic like. Now, all these things are going to come. I'm going to go into those a little bit in depth, not for very long, but in depth. 2 years ago in October, they had the Bazaar, B-A-Z-Z-A-R, Bizarre Bazaar. And I went to it. It was outside. And, you know, at first thoughts, it was, here in Arizona, you can do things outside in October. Trust me, it's fine. The venue had a few people that I recognized from doing craft fairs before. One of my favorite craft fair attendees or vendors is, she does steampunk and sort of, I can't remember what the other thing they call gothic stuff, and she's really very, very good. Love her stuff, very unique. I've not seen anybody else do the stuff she does. So I was really looking forward to seeing the rest of it. The rest of it was not what I anticipated. There were a lot of people that just had their card tables out who had some things that were a little different. Some people had jewelry. You know, everybody has some sort of jewelry. But that wasn't, I was glad I didn't pay to go, because I was going to a craft fair every weekend for November and December, and I am an introvert, although you may not think that because I do videos, and sometimes if you see me in person, if I know you very well, I'm very outward going, but that's just the nature of how I am. I get a little overwhelmed, and taking a whole weekend to do a craft fair and meeting new people and stressing myself to a point, because I'm not a salesperson, the anxiety kind of takes over, and so I need some time by myself. So doing a craft fair every weekend for that period of time was really stressful, but I felt I had to push myself. Now, I was glad I didn't go to that one because of it being the first time it was in that location. There were not very many vendors to bring a crowd in. I do know the person who ran this, so I know they did some advertising, but first time anything is out there as a craft fair, it's always going to be less attended. And as you get further and closer to the holidays, you're going to see more and more church bazaars, different bazaars and craft fairs at different places. anytime you go out the door. You could go driving down the road, you're going to see a sign for something. And, you know, I would say that 75% of the people that are on their way to maybe, say, your venue, they're going to pull off here and there, and then by the time it gets, you know, they get close to where they're supposed to go to, they may have spent all their money, or they've spent all their time and they're exhausted. So you have to choose wisely, and hopefully the traffic that is drawn to the place is helpful. So you got to look at how many years they were in. It doesn't really matter much, in my opinion, although there are people that would say that they should be well established. That depends on if you're going for the big bucks. If you're spending a lot of money, I'm talking about, I don't go more than $75 for a weekend, and because that's all I can afford. You can afford more. It's probably behooves you to do that. But for me, I don't want to spend more than that because of what I sell. I sell very, you know, nickel and dime stuff, things that people would pick up in just quickly. You'll be seeing that soon. When is it? That's another thing that you have to look at. When is your craft fair? Is your craft fair, like for us, several years ago, I went to a craft fair, very well established. I was very happy to be invited to go. However, they had it during what we have here in Arizona called Tour de Tucson. And that's where every bicyclist, every cyclist from miles around, from here and there, and country to country, come here, just like the Tour de France, only they're here. And we have a very small area, although you probably wouldn't think that. I have to have a sip of something. You probably wouldn't think of that when you're here, but it is relatively a small area. It's maybe 25 miles east to west, and you know it is unlimited going north and south, but we do have boundaries for the Tour de Tucson, and there's you know, they block off areas. Traffic gets blocked because when the cyclists come through, they stop the traffic and they allow them to, you know, they're whatever. If there's 50 people cycling by, they're going to stop and they're going to let them go. So you get held up. I would say that 95% of us Tucsonans are not going to go out during the Tour de Tucson because the traffic is unbelievable, and you're never going to get anywhere in any time. So they usually go shopping, pick up your stuff, or you end up someplace and that's where you stay until it's over. Well, we had forgotten about it because we're not cyclists, and we hear about it, we know it's coming, but so here we go to this fair, and then we realize it's Tour de Tucson. People are, you know, so no one was coming, no one was showing up. So we were like, oh my gosh, nobody's here. And then we'd get dribs and drabs of people coming in who were, you know, local to that school, because it was at a church school, and they were locals, and they were parents and family, and they were coming to support the school. And it's like, oh my God, we've forgotten all about that. On top of that, the location of the place that we were at. So I'm going to use my hand as an example. Let me give you a fuller. Here we go. So I'm going to do it this way. So here is Tucson, all of Tucson, right? We were like in the northeast section, right here. Tour de Tucson kind of goes like this. It goes around this area. It does this circle, okay? So it takes, anything outside of this circle, they get blocked. Those people would, if you come to a stop or a light or something, and they're gonna go through, you're getting stopped. So, ooh, I almost knocked over my coffee. So here you are, we're over here on the northeast. Tour de Tucson is going through this way, right? People aren't coming from over here or even in here. They're not coming. They are going to be, I'm trying to fix things here. they're not coming to the event. And so we were really at a loss for customers that year. We had a lot of great vendors. It was very interesting. So the next thing would be your week, weekend, or is it a day? How much are you spending and how long? And that depends on what you're going to bring. So if it's only if you're doing several after a week after each other, then it doesn't matter if you build up a supply and you have it ready. But if you're there for a weekend, you have to double your supply. And then hopefully, how much are you spending on that? You're going to have a way to secure everything. If it's in a building, they usually, your craft people will, or the vendor or the facilitator is going to have some sort of security. You bring a sheet to cover your stuff. You go in early, take the sheet down, and you make sure everything's in line. And don't leave food or candy there, because I would say, sometimes you might be in a place that you don't know what's going to happen. So I would secure anything like that. Moving on. So the advertisements. You are generally expected to share the event's location, time, through social media of your own, to your newsletter, to your people that you're going to be, that you may have. So you are expected to do that as a bonus. Yes, you're paying for those people to do some sort of advertising and securing the location, but it's also up to the vendors to do something. You can't do it blindly, And that's it for that. Let's get started on stuff let's do this. So this was a card that it's my take on it. It's my Halloween card for, what was her name? Dawn Stampin' Thoughts. She did this. So I got to see what I'm giving you guys. Okay, here it goes. So that's my take on it. It's really easy. I didn't even take down the measurements. I just did it my own way. That's part of the cards. I'm going to put this into my little, because here I'm waiting for my order from Stampin' Up so that I can get more envelopes. I need my envelopes before I package these. Let me show you the rest that I have. So here are some other ones that I've got ready. I love the paper that we had this year. I'm waiting for my second 6x6 to come in. I don't know where that is. And envelopes, of course. That's why these are packed like that, because they need envelopes. And then these I just put out there. I don't sell very many cards, one or two when I go to events. So, and that's really dependent. When you've got the Dollar Tree that's selling the dollar store selling dollar cards, and people want to buy that's them. That's fine. I still feel like people will pay for a dollar store one when they're in a pinch, but if they want a special one, they will pay at least $3 for it. I've done things where it's $3 each and 5 for 10, something like that, where you give them a nice break, and I'm still clearing what it is. Most of the time, I'd rather get people to give me, stay in contact with me. All right, so I have this. This is also a little paper clip. I have to make more of these. Like I said, I'm waiting for my paper to come in. Also use paper that, and then I make these tags, because these are all going to be going onto, you're going to see it. I have, I'll explain that as it comes up when I show you. You probably have leftover stuff from past papers that we've done. And that's what, so I'm heading this off because I'm going into the Rosettes now. So this was 2 years ago. I love this. I love Halloween paper, to be honest with you. And so some of my papers may not be in stock, so I'm just letting you know. So I have a ton of Rosettes, and I make these up, you know, when I'm sitting there and I don't have any thoughts in my head about what to do. That way I have stuff to attach to different items, bringing them up too. So see, there's this, all prepped and ready to go, little Rosettes. Now I have these ready for a sentiment. They're also able to go on this, okay? We have a, gosh, I don't want to put that down there. We have the dies, and they have the cups available. And this is how I package it for going out. All that's done right now is the tie with the bow. Okay, so now undo the bow. And that's because right now, because of the way things are, I'm not so sure people will be happy to purchase anything that I've put stuff together in. I do have a few things, we'll get into that later. But generally what normally happens is you would fill this up, with candies. Some people use a Keurig cup, hot chocolate to put into it. This is a small one. I bought this. I had like 50 or 100, I'm not sure, of these cups prior to when Stampin' Ups. Stampin' Ups are a little bit bigger. They fit this one here, this holder. But I had these, and for me, to be cost effective, I can't go spending more money on that because I need to use these up. So I have these prepped. So I'm making it so that my customer can fill this up with what they want, right? I mean, I will have candy available, and I will have an example. This would be my example. All nice. I've inserted, it says have a spectacular Halloween. I did it with white ink. Let me see, can you, no, that doesn't do any good. Let me bring you closer. Bring it down just a little bit, maybe. Maybe. There we go. So, I stapled that inside, right? So it can be sealed, but for the moment, I have the ribbon on the outside because then they can bring the ribbon in and fold it. If you have someone that's really kind of, they're going to be whining that they can't do the bow themselves, then you can make the bow and they can just attach it with a staple. They're really that obnoxious about it. And yes, people are being obnoxious about things like that. So that's that. And like I said, I have old paper, so let's not get crazy. So here's what I've done with this, and what my intention is for these. That's why they're black and white. Is to take this and attach it here, and then put a sentiment on the outside of it. But because I have to travel, I'm a little leery about putting anything on the outside of my containers right now. So I may just leave it like that. And then these would be, I think $5 is pretty inexpensive for something like this. That would be people would be willing to purchase that. Again, I have to check. I check to make sure that the prices I do correlate with making sure that I cover my cost. At the very least, cover my cost. And as you can see, this is how I package things. I have different sized baggies. I have enormous baggies. Let me bring the enormous baggie in. So here's the enormous baggie, right? And then I have the smaller ones that are holding on to this. Now, I think this is so much easier to transport. I have one in a self-contained packaging. There is no candy in it, but a candy would go inside, and I'll have examples of that. And then we have, I just have them different, I can't even think, different DSP, and that way the person can decide which way they would want it. And I would show them how to do it. I did this with our Curvy Boxes for when I made something for Santa Claus. You know, to use the Curvy box. I think I have the Curvy box here too. And a person bought a slew of them, all of the ones that I had available, and this just showed them how to put it together, and it went a lot better because then they can transport it. They didn't have to worry about it breaking. This will I will add ribbon. Like I said, I'm waiting for my order to come in for the ribbon, and I don't make very many of each. Maybe 10 is my goal. I think 10 because that just seems, here's the Curvy Boxes. That just seems like a nice round number, and it's easy. And if just to see what someone might like. Now, here's the Curvy Boxes, and you see these have already been. So I have the spider web on that. I have this up. Not everything has, some of it is just the spider web, some of it has a DSP in it. I did do DSP, but I find that's very thin. And so you want to be careful doing that. Opening and closing that box would be, I'd be very careful about it. And I would just show the person how to, do the one side, fill, do the other side, and then we would have, I have on the side here, let me put this over. I have on the side, I have a bunch of die cut things that we're going to make. Get another one out. I have already die cut them out, so they're ready to go. And I'm going to put them, see, I'm not completely ready. I'm going to put them onto a string so that they can be attached here. And just, I have the spider web, spiders, anything that this says Wicked. We had a Wicked die. We don't have it. It's not available anymore, but I loved it. I usually keep my Halloween stuff. A bunch of spiders in the shiny black. And that looks good because it stands out. And then they would be attached to a circle or a rosette. And then a string would be attached so that they can be put on here. And so that's all ready to go. I didn't put one together because that is more likely to squish, and it's much easier to transport. And the next thing, this is new. I have not done these before, but I really liked the way they looked. And this incorporates a few different things. So I'm going to take out the big ones. I do have smaller ones. So this takes the very large 12 by 12 designer series paper, and they are 3 inches wide. I do the accordion fold. I put it in the scoreboard and do every quarter inch, every half inch. I think this is a half inch. And then I take scissors and I cut. If you want anything to be demoed, just try to remember what it is and let me know that you want to know it. Did a rosette. I have some of the webbing ribbon that we had, which was really awesome last year. I cut out some, I stamped this, cut out some, just did a little fussy cutting on some pictures. And I have a ton of these little skeletons because I make jewelry as well. And the skeletons I attach to a ribbon. This is something in my stash. I suggest using your stash to get rid of things, just so that you can get new, fresh stuff in. This is ribbon. We're out of this ribbon now because it was really good. Was it this ribbon? Oh no, it was the gingham ribbon, or the buffalo check ribbon. And so there's, it's on a dowel stick. These dowel sticks I got is either the dollar store, or I picked them up really inexpensive at the grocery store. But I use them for a lot of different things, and they just come in really handy. So those are in there just to protect them. And then we try to close that up a little bit. I'll probably put them into a bigger one eventually. Before I move on, I do want to do a shout out to my upline, who's Anastasia. She showed us how to do something at our last team meeting. Hang on, I need a sippy. And if you want to become part of our team, I'd love to have you join me. Just give me an email, let me know. But she suggested making these sour cream boxes. And so here's one that I made just to kind of feel it out. She also said to take this and put it into the scoreboard and do 2 lines. And it really helps to seal it because I use double-sided tape. Now here's how I figured we would do this. This is empty. But here's how I thought we could do this, because I'm thinking people are going to want to fill it with their own stuff, right? So I left it open, okay? This one I'm going to put some things in, but this side keeps popping open on me, so I may have to put a little bit of glue on there. I'm not sure. I'll just see if it pops open again. Oh, it's not this one, it's the other one. So this is open. There's a double-sided tape up here. We just have to pull the tape off and then they squeeze it together. Now, here's what I did. I haven't decorated it. And you can see, right? But this, the bottom keeps popping open. I'm not sure why it's doing that, because I seal it nice. I use a bone folder, and then your two. See how inside it has the double-sided tape all the way around? Just would suggest that they pull that off after they fill it and close it up. And I don't have these decorated, but I do have the 6x6, and they're ready to go. The only thing they need now is just a little bit more. I made, oh, see? This one of my tape is undone right there. I don't think you can see it. I'm just going to pop it out and show you. So that's the only thing I'm concerned about. I'm glad I did this so I can see. Let's see, it opened up, and it shouldn't have opened up. So what I would like to do is I may have to add a little glue, because there's no reason for it to come undone. Anyway, so that's, I'm trying these out. I've not done these before, and the worst that can happen is that, and then I will decorate. I made die cut trees, hat, and the spider web. I'm sorry. I die cut the trees, hat, and spider web, and I'm going to add them later. I don't want them to be on here now because I don't want them to get ruined. They'll get, you know, transporting. You always have somebody else helping you, and they may or may not recognize. Like when you look in the box, you know, oh, that's my sour cream, and they've got really delicate stuff on there. People that are helping you are not paying attention to that. These are my smaller ones. These are 1.5 inches, and these have the little ding-a-ling-lings on the bottom too. And I think they're kind of cute to go into a basket. It's suggested, I don't know if anybody, to put them in an envelope. I have not made the envelopes. I don't know that there'll be something that someone would be interested in. Okay, and the next thing is I have these left over, these boxes. And this is just a demo one. So this is all leftovers. So this is not something that Stampin' Up! Provided. This is something that I had, and I just, rather than it sitting there and me wondering what on earth am I going to use this for, I decided to put it on here and use it as a demo, something for me to figure out. And let's open it up. This is supposed to pop up, but it got stuck in the back. There it is. So there we go. And so this would have some candy inside of it. It has a spot down here where I attached it. I used the bright paper that we have, and just fold it up. It's the little pizza boxes. We have the bigger boxes as well. I've not figured out anything to do with them. I may save those for my Christmas, craft fairs, where I'll decorate them for Christmas. So here we go. And they're bigger. They could probably carry a nice little gift, whereas this is more for treats. Where are they? They are all over here. I'll show you what I did with those. So you can see I used pretty much the same idea. Right? Okay, and speaking of boxes, I have a ton of these. This is very hard to do. Let me bring out one of my boxes. So this is some DSP that I got during Celebration that was free. And creating a box is really difficult because if you try to make it so that the top is a little bigger, I don't know if I have one in here. One of the things I found that was happening is the top, if I went like 1/8 of an inch to try to give it that room, it was not working. It was too much. It was too big. And then if you look at this, every single one of them is a different size. No matter how hard I would try, just trying to design this was a nightmare. So these little boxes probably will carry a Ghirardelli chocolate, and I have some little thumb holes on the side, so those would be cute for that. And then I think I may add something on the top as a sentiment on the top of those. So that's that. I'll put that there. Now, am I going to get something? I have to get up and get it. Hang on 1 second. I have the coffin boxes, the tombstone treats treat boxes. I have not put them together. I'll decide whether or not I want to put a clear front in it so you could see in it. I'll decide that later. That's something I haven't worked out yet. I'm not sure if I want to do that because I have so many treat boxes. And here's one that I wanted to show you. We had these dies that, I'm going to open this up. We had these dies that, let me see if I'll bring you up just like this so you're not looking at my belly. That made this label, this big label. So I took the largest one and then this next one that fit into it to do this. And then you take a 11-inch and measure. So this is fold over on both ends. It's about 1 inch in and it's attached. And if you take the bone folder and then just put some glue on it, and you can fill this up with treats. And that is, as they say, that. Just a unique way of giving giving a treat or a gift. You can even fit a gift in here. But you can see I have 10 of these, right? And there's one where I just used the DSP, cut that out. And we have little boxes, but this I didn't make. I made those other ones instead because they just came out a little better. I have these, which are really, they need some Velcro for this one. And putting them in these little self-contained little cellophane boxes, baggies, I think is really going to be important for some people. So this is an old DSP. Open it up and it's like a book. You can put a sentiment in here. I did not. I just left it like that. I'll put that back later because it's really annoying to do that. And I made several of these, but these are really hard to make. And I say hard because you've got it's a little origami. I apologize for having to talk through that. But this would be a cute little gift for somebody. This is a snap. I have a snap that I put that in. This would be my demo. And you see you have really nice little, where's that? Oh, I wondered where that went to. When I made this, I couldn't find the stamp piece. It came out. Now I find out where it is. It's right here. Oh my goodness. There we go. So it has a nice little spot where you can put money or candy. It's cute. And this one in particular actually snaps closed right like that. Very easy to do, but time consuming. And when you're talking about throwing stuff together, I figured, yeah, maybe more for Christmas. And then I took some embellishments and put them on the outside. These are Velcro, not stamps or snaps. And I'm not really, it's not a big deal for me. That's not, I don't think that they're gonna go. If anything, it would be just like, oh, I wish you had 5 of them because I would give them to my nieces. It'd be one of those. All right. So here's a few things that I did. I still have to find, I have one of these boxes with me when I go out because I have to find, it's this kind of a box. I don't know if you can see that. So They'll have a ribbon around them as well, and they're going to need to be put into cellophane. These are like a box that will have its item right here. Now this could be for pretty much anything that fits in there. So I'm going to be on the hunt looking for stuff that fits in there. Maybe a small mascara, I'm not sure. Let me show you the tombstone ones. See, I was doing it like this. I also have seen people cut this out clear so that you can see through it. I don't know if I want to do that, because if they don't sell, I might want to use them for something else. All right. We have now moved on to a different thing. Now, normally don't do this here, but I have done them on YouTube. So these are some of the things. Now remember, it's called the Bizarre Bazaar. So this is watercolor paper here, and this is a notepad here, and those are going to be made available. I have different ones, and of course I've used up other paper that I have, paper and embellishments from other things. This is different kinds of paper, you can see. I'm not going to show you all, I'm just going to give you an idea. This one is one that was covered in a vinyl. And it has, if you can see that too well, lots of places to put pictures, what have you. I just have this on here to keep it closed and safe. This one is one of my faves. This one is another one of my faves. It's just the books that I made available. It's one of my quick ebooks that we put together. And I can't forget to show you this one. It's my Edgar Allan Poe. This is with some vinyl that I put on, you know, that having it put on at a certain point when you're making it, so that it just covers it, because you're covering it with paper, but you want the paper to be, this one actually is done with material. This is a material and it's sewn, and this one has envelopes. You can do this. Can I bring you out? Let me bring you out. Come on. I guess that's as far out as we're gonna get. Oh, you know what I can do? Duh. So this has, oh, it's upside down. I do that all the time. There it is. Here, and envelopes. You can do this with any paper. So, that's pretty much it. And we are nearly at an hour long. Those are the things that I'm prepping to bring. The next thing I'll have to do, except for the fine tuning, is to decide how my table's going to look. That is one of the, oh my goodness, what's happening here? There we go. That's going to be the hardest thing, is how am I going to get my table to look. I always change it. I do it one way here, and then I get there, and I'm not happy with the way that turns out, so I changed that. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have questions, I'd love to be able to help you. I've done it for quite a few years. I did this. My son is 42, and when he was an infant, he was born in August, so when he in December, we went to our very first craft fair together, him and I. I had been doing craft fairs even before that. So I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. I'm going to look around and clean up my mess and get ready to go. I'm going off to meet, going to be making coffins with, not large size coffins, miniature coffins at the miniature museum here in Tucson. And Aria from Bentley's house she's going to be teaching us. She's one of my favorite YouTubers, and I love to watch her. And unfortunately, I don't get to make as many of those things as I'd like to, but I'm going to be learning. I'll talk to you about that. I'm going to have a sip of my coffee. You guys enjoy your Sunday, and I will see you hopefully next week at the craft show. And if I can't get in online, then I will get back to you and let you know what's going on. I certainly appreciate you being here. I'd love for you to subscribe, like, share. You have some other people over here who might want to enjoy our fun, and I'll see you next time.